So a while ago, I learned about sign distance functions, a magical function that tells you how far away you are from a shape and nothing else. This wasn't really that interesting, except for the single property that SDFs return a negative value when you're inside a shape. I mean, if you could literally just take an SDF and put it into WorldEdit, you could literally generate any shape possible. Now, this probably wouldn't be too revolutionary, but the field of frame marching in SDFs is way more developed than Minecraft WorldEdit Generate Command. Yep, okay. But wait, hold on. What is an SDF? An SDF is a sign distance function, which basically tells you how far away any point P is from the edge of a shape. Some shapes are quite easy to model as an SDF. Like, a circle is just the distance P to the center of the circle minus the radius. What you'll notice here is that the SDF returns a positive value when it's outside the shape, 0 when it's exactly on the edge of the shape, and negative when it's inside the shape. This property will make it really easy to combine and manipulate shapes in the future, but there are more shapes that can be represented in an SDF. But I won't get into those, as I don't want to make this video 10 hours long, and I'll just leave the information about it in the description. So for now, let's assume that we have our SDF converted into a format that WorldEdit can read. We can simply make a mask of that function, wherever the function returns a value less than 0, which just means that the block or point that is less than 0 is inside the shape. We can already create like a lot of shapes, but we don't have to just stop here. There's a whole world of functions we can use to distort and manipulate our shape, but there's one more thing to mention. From before, when I said we can just take the SDF value where the value is less than 0 to find points inside the shape, but we don't even have to take points just inside the shape. We can multiply the shape by -1 to flip the shape inside out, or even just subtract a constant from a final SDF value to round off the harsh corners of our shapes. But there are way more fun things to do. We can stretch, rotate, and add noise to our shape, and because we don't care about any like non-Euclidean distortions that would normally, in the setting of frame marching, create artifacts, since we only care about like if a point's inside the shape, you can just create your own funky function to distort the shape in any way you please. Just one thing to note is if you're looking for a specific result, like making a shape twice as tall, you need to do the inverse of that function, so dividing by 2, but for reasons that I don't know nor care to look into. We can also make our SDFs out of other SDFs by applying some functions, like revolving a 2D SDF around a point, or extruding it into 3 dimensions, but of course there are more functions for SDFs in 3 dimensions as well, like elongating it around a point or onioning it, and any other countless fun functions and things you can think of. Oh my god, this is beautiful, but I cannot find the certain SDF of the certain shape I want, and how can I find it? Well, my friend, you don't need to find it, you can just create it by combining SDFs together with the power of constructive solid geometry. Basically, by just adding and subtracting different shapes you want to get the shape you want. Like in most 3D modeling programs, this is what you do. We can represent 2 SDFs together as the minimum of their 2 distances, say min dA and min dB. But there's so much more we can do, like the map, which is the intersection of 2 shapes, and subtracting a shape with another with max dA and negative dB, subtracting dB from dA. But I mean, this is really all quite primitive, isn't it? We can just make multiple selections and multiple commands to achieve the same result. We can make this a lot more interesting by using smooth unions. You see, when we combine SDFs, they often leave sharp edges where they join, and smooth unions, subtractions, and intersections smooth over those edges where they join, making everything just much more natural. This is quite revolutionary. I've never seen anything done like this in Minecraft before, and this could be used in so many like organic builds and terrains, and oh my god, the possibilities. So, as always, thanks for watching. If you'd consider liking or subscribing, that would just put a smile on my face, and I will see you next time, whenever that is. Bye.